Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Impact's first show. I am your host, Samantha Vance, and we are live in our Las Vegas studio on this gorgeous day. I am beyond excited to be your host and to welcome our first guest ever to the show. We have a great show planned for you, getting behind the minds of mayors. And for those who don't know about the show, we're here to give you the real behind the scenes in business, politics, and leadership roles. We'll feature influential guests who you may know and love, making major impacts in their community. And because I have a great passion for youth, which most of you know, I could not host a show without including special segments highlighting those youth who are actually making a big difference in their communities. But we're not leaving you out. The viewers will have an opportunity to make an impact as well. We'll share your 1-minute motivational messages throughout the show, and they got to be impactful, so send them in to us and we'll make sure they get on the show. Now, before I introduce our guests who are joining us via video, which I'm so excited about, I must tell you guys the real behind this show. When I was first approached with the opportunity to host, it was after an embarrassing professional project that completely fell apart for me, like completely fell apart. It all happened behind the scenes, so no one saw all the tragedy that I went through to get to the actual launch. It was a perfect setback to help others realize that, flawless results that we may see have actually endured some extreme challenges. But there are ways that we can get through those challenges successfully, what I call going from tragedy to triumph. And that's what happened. And so now you have me as your host of this show. And with that, my guests. And those guests will share tools and resources to help you work through your challenges successfully, because we all have them. And that makes me really happy that this show is helping other people, because that's what I'm all about, helping people. That's also why I'm excited to introduce our guests for today, who hardly need any introduction. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms, who is the current and 60th mayor of Atlanta, Georgia. She is truly a powerhouse, y'all. And today she's going to discuss the real behind being a female in politics. And my first guest is a lawyer and former mayor of Tallahassee, Florida, Mayor John Marks, a dear friend of mine who is also the longest serving mayor in Tallahassee's history, serving for 12 years. Today, he's sharing raw stories in politics and how he overcame some of the most tragic situations. Hey, Mayor John Marks, my dear friend. Gosh, I haven't seen you since COVID began. How are you doing? Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Samantha. It's good being here, and congratulations on your new adventure. Really is something. I understand you're working very, very hard to make this a success, and good luck.
I'm honored you are here today really, just as a dear friend on my very first show. And then having been the longest serving mayor of Tallahassee, tell us how that was as an experience for you.
It was quite interesting. Matter of fact, I may have served 4 years too much, but it was quite an experience, let me tell you. Serving 12 years is nothing easy about it. I probably should have served only 8, but I had a lot of things I want to get done. So those last 4 years kind of culminated in a lot of interesting events and a lot of things I really want to get done. And it's been very, very fruitful. I enjoyed it. And really, right now, I'm glad there are others who are joining the same thing.
Wow. That's interesting, because when you were mayor, I was there, and you certainly experienced a lot. And I'm sure in your career, you faced many challenges. Take us back, though, to the scenes when you were in office and tell us a raw story about one of the biggest challenges you ever faced in politics, if you can think of one.
Well, I guess the biggest challenge I faced is actually I faced it all the time, and every mayor will face, and that's decision making. Making sure that you make the right decisions, make sure you have your citizens in mind, and making those decisions really counts. You have to be on point. You have to make sure that what you're talking about and what you want to do on behalf of your citizens is the right decision to make. So that's the difficult thing. You can't make a decision for yourself. You have to be able to make a decision for the people that you represent. And there are two parts of decision making that makes it more difficult or makes it difficult. That is the actual substance of the decision that you want to make. That is what it is that you want to either correct or what it is you want to enhance. If you want to build a bridge, if you want to correct the sewer systems, or you want to make sure that certain neighborhoods get certain benefits, you have to really make sure that's what you want to do. And then the second part of decision making, which makes it difficult, but not too difficult, that is the process, going through the process and making sure that you dot all the I's and the T's, and making sure in that process that the people that you're trying to affect know exactly what you want to do. So that was difficult. For instance, one of the first decisions that we had to make was to address infrastructure matters in our lower income neighborhoods. And that was very important because our predecessors neglected that. Unfortunately, I don't know if they wanted to do it, but I'm sure that was an issue with us. We still had some dirt roads in Tallahassee, which is, you think about it, it's unheard of. They didn't have proper sewer. They didn't have proper electric service. So that was one of the first decisions we made. And making that decision, it was an important decision for our citizens, for those citizens, and quite frankly, it impacts all of the citizens in the city of Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. So really, that was a tough decision, but decision making, making sure that you're making the right decision. Mm-hmm. And that decision is a decision that's going to impact your citizens positively.
That's interesting. Okay, so when you experienced that challenge, what exactly did you do to overcome that challenge?
Well, the main thing you have to do is to make sure that your citizens understand what you are doing, mm-hmm. to make sure they understand why you're doing it, and to engage them in the process. Mm-hmm. That probably is the most important thing you can do, because if you don't, you're going to get some citizens that are dissatisfied. You want to get as much buy-in as you possibly can from your citizens on any decision that you make. Mm-hmm. And then you will avoid a lot of controversy. You'll avoid a lot of animosity. You avoid citizens who want to rant and rave about issues. So that buy-in, that is what is important with that kind of decision making.
So as you know, and you and I have done a lot of work together in Tallahassee, I wear a lot of hats. And as a professional who does that, you face a lot of tough challenges. You have hard decisions to make. And I mean, you go through some of the hardest things that you'd ever imagine, but you gotta handle it with wisdom and grace. So with that, when you think about one of the toughest moments you've experienced, like you shared with us, what would you say kept you strong through all those years?
Trying to keep your cool, if you will. Trying to, in the face of adversity, in the face of negative circumstances, making sure that you maintain a level and don't get upset or angry at your citizens because of what they say. Mm. So what they may say, especially in a community like this or at the commission meetings. Mm-hmm. I think it's important that they know that you are there for them. And anger and animosity, that does not help it. Mm-hmm. So you got to maintain your composure. And that's what I've tried, and that's what I hope I did through the entire time I was mayor of the city of Tallahassee. Mm-hmm. You have to also get out there amongst the people. Mm. You cannot sit in your office. And I think that probably goes for those individuals who are in the private sector. You got to get out to those individuals who who look to you as their leader, whether it's the CEO of a company or the mayor of a city or chairman of a board or whatever. You have to make sure that you get out among them. And the reason why, they need to understand who you are. Mm-hmm. They need to get a good understanding that you are there for them. So you can't stay away. That is very important, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. That is an extremely important leadership trait that some people miss. But I can tell you what is the most important leadership trait. Mm-hmm. Amongst anything that you can do. I don't care what leadership position you're in, mm-hmm. where you are, whether it's in the private sector or whether it's in the public sector. No, it doesn't matter. Learn how to listen. Mm-hmm. Okay? Learn mm-hmm. how to listen. listening, in my opinion, is an art. It's not something that comes to you just because you're here or because you're human. You have to know how to listen to the people that you're trying to affect. Listening is very important. I often tell this to youngsters who ask me, oh, what is important? Just like you asked that question. I said, the main thing you can do is listen. And I guarantee you, by listening, you will be a better person. I guarantee it.
That's definitely something that I have used to help me get through situations. Thank you for sharing that. And so I want to ask you, you and I have worked on your foundation together. And one of your focuses for that foundation is serving youth, which you know we're both passionate about. But your foundation focuses on giving youth the access to technology. When you think about youth and empowering them, running for office, being in leadership roles, what advice would you give young people who are considering actually running for office?
Well, besides listening, I would tell them, first of all, there are several things that I have used in order to tell people what they should do. And I call them, there's six items I use. First, you have to have an education. You have to prepare yourself. And you prepare yourself with an education. Then you have to surround yourself with the right people. If you're going to be successful, you have to really surround yourself. You have to interact with individuals who are successful. You cannot just sit back and not do that. You have to have a real desire. Trust me, you have to have a real desire that you want to be successful and that you want to do things. You have to have that personality that people will like, they'll gravitate to. You can't be mean and ugly and expect people to do for you. You just can't. It won't work. There are several other things you have to do. You have to bring value to whatever you do. If you don't bring value, why would he need you?
Right.
Think about a basketball team. Just think about it. If Michael Jordan did not bring value to the Chicago Bulls, they wouldn't want him. You got to bring value, but another important thing is you got to engage with other individuals, as I said before. You got to surround yourself with people, with like people. You know, if you're on a basketball team, you don't want to go get a baseball player to help you on a basketball team. Now that's kind of really out there a little bit, but you want to engage, talk to people, find out what they're doing, listen, find out what they're doing, and then there's one other thing that you got to bring value. I say that, but you also have to have values. Okay, you have to have the right values. I guarantee anybody that you cannot be successful, nor will you be a leader if you lie, steal, cheat, don't do things drugs, and I guarantee you will not be a leader under those circumstances.
Right.
So I've named these things, and the reason I did that because I started thinking a long time ago. I started looking at people who were successful, people who were leaders, and the traits are similar. And I said, what is it about that individual that makes them successful? And the first thing I thought about was every successful individual I know were visionaries.
Right. Yeah.
You think about it.
Yeah.
The one that everybody would know is Jesus Christ. He was a visionary. He knew what people want. He knew how to act with people. Think about every good president. They thought about the future. They were visionaries. And they knew how to impart that vision on the people that they represented. You know, it's just, vision is very important. Now, understand you may have to adjust your vision as you go along because of circumstances, but make sure you can't be as a leader if all you're thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. So be a visionary. And, you know, and one of the things I said it earlier, you gotta want to be successful. You gotta have kind of a persona, if you will. And this is kind of strange to some people, but you got to have an aura about you of success. Okay, you really do. Classic example. You know, I can name some people who are successful, and immediately you would think about who they are and their aura and what they bring and how people perceive them. Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. You immediately get a picture of Jesus Christ. Mm-hmm. You immediately get a picture of Abraham Lincoln. You immediately get a picture of Martin Luther King. You immediately give a picture of Michael Jackson. Okay? Those people, they have a persona that people can gravitate to you. You can't be a bum and expect to be successful. Mm-hmm. You know, you can't just, again, we get to lie, steal, and cheat. You can't do those things. So those things you have to be mindful of, and you mindful of those things, and you can be successful, or you can be a very good leader, or both.
Thank you so much, Mayor John Marks, my dear friend. I'm so happy that you joined me today. Thank you for being on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Now we'll have a quick commercial break.
It's your time. Time to choose yourself. It's your time to heal. Transform your relationships, manage your trauma, tackle challenges with boldness and grace. Break the stigma of mental health. Inner healing is yours through the 21 Days of Healing Journal, created by women and girls sharing their healing journeys with quotes to inspire you for each day. Order yours today to get your healing.
January is often given a bad rap as the dreariest month of the year. Not so for me. Even as a little girl and even now, it's always been one of my favorites. This week, my husband put it the way most people feel. Look, Michelle, he said, everything outside our window is dead, lifeless. The pecan trees in the fields, they're all barren. Now, the facts that my husband stated were correct, but he was only sharing part of the story. The fields and the groves outside my window are not dead. They are resting for their future. They are positioning themselves so that they can bear fruit in good season. This is extremely important for the life of the tree and for the life of the entire grove. By pausing on producing fruit, they strengthen and store energy for new growth. Without taking a season of rest, the tree will produce weaker fruit and weaker and fewer branches. This is true for us as well. It's okay to pause and rest, just like the pecan groves. Use this time to pause on productivity. Use this time to position yourself so that you can bear fruit again in due season. As the wise King Solomon said, there is a time for everything and a season for every activity under heaven, including resting.
Ladies Learning to Lead gives girls a competitive advantage. Ladies Learning to Lead offers a host of programs for young ladies, including STEM leadership, career mentoring, various financial and wellness workshops, and an annual leadership conference that prepares young ladies for college, careers, and life.
This conference teaches us that we are more than what people say we are. We are more than what society says we are.
Text ladies to 42828.
Hello, my name is Madison Geiger. I'm one of Samantha's mentees. Young people can make an impact on their community through volunteering in your local community, volunteering in your high school, middle school. All ladies can volunteer and get themselves out there, and that makes the biggest impact on your community. Thank you.
Hey guys, we're closing out on our very first show. And I want to say thank you to all of you, our viewers, and also my supporters, my family, my friends, and my amazing team behind the scenes who I could not have done this without. Until next time, I'm Samantha, and I encourage you to continue to rise above setbacks, rise above challenges, and rise like the phoenix so you can make an impact in the lives of others. And part 2 of our show is coming to you next week with Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Be sure to tune in.